What are you cooking today, Miss Martha? I'm making Cheetos. Oh yeah. I'm going to show you some of the items you have to have first to get organized. You're going to need your baking sheets, your wire racks, your parchment paper. You're going to need your KitchenAid stand mixer or whatever mixer that you have. You're going to use the paddle attachment, not the little cake feeder. You're going to need several bowls, measuring cups, pastry board, rolling pin, pizza cup. That's the equipment. Now let's look at our items. We're going to be using cornmeal, regular all-purpose flour, corn flour. Hungarian Cheetos has this. It's not over where the regular baking flour is. It's in where the gluten-free section is. So check the gluten-free section in your grocery store to get the corn flour. This is going to make the difference between it being crispy and crunchy, or it just tastes like those old cheese straws that we used to make in the 1960s. Had that little extruded thing. You used to make little cheese straws. You could have made them for every little party stuff. But I like these. This is a more modern version of the cheese straws. I'm going to call them Cheetos, but they're cheese curls, so if we don't have a copyright infringement by saying Cheetos. We're going to also need, if you use any brand, I have the Utz today, but it's cheddar, flavored potato chips, salt, sugar, the spices that go into it. You're going to need garlic powder, onion powder, lemon pepper. You need that little bit of lemon to give the cheese that little sour kick. Need cayenne pepper, red pepper, hot Hungarian paprika is one of my favorite heat spices. We've got the popcorn white cheddar seasoning. Now, this isn't wasteful. We've got the inexpensive, they're only 69 cents a box. We're going to take the powdered cheese out of here, the little packets, and set aside. And the macaroni, the dry pasta noodles, we're going to put in a Ziploc bag and just store that in my pantry, and I'll use that another time when I'm making soup or some other Italian dish. So we're not going to use the macaroni out of here. We're just going to take the cheese packets out. Buttermilk. If you can find the Wisconsin extra sharp cheddar shredded cheese, this is even better than just regular cheddar cheese because it's sharp. It's going to give you a better taste, more like the Cheetos. Margarine. I may slip up and call it butter, but you know I don't cook with butter because that's cholesterol. Although, yeah, you got some cheese. There's going to be some cholesterol in here, but you know what? Sometimes I want some cheese. And my family loves these. It's a great snack. This happens to be the taco, but you can get any brand, any jar of cheese. Dip. Now, the chili powder I kept separate from the other spices because I'm going to show you when I'm making them later, and I'm making them out. Some of them are going to be regular cheddar cheese Cheetos, and some of them are going to be the Red Hot Cheetos. So we're going to need food coloring. So it's not just the spice that's going to make the difference. You got to make the little color difference too. Yeah. I got a lot of things to do. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to make the powdered cheese. It's not just as simple as just taking this out and letting this rock and roll. Oh, I need cornstarch. I got to get that out of the cabinet. Just a minute. I've got to set that up here. So give me a minute to move all the equipment out the way because I'm not using that next. We're going to move over and we're going to use the Vitamix to blitz the potato chips down into a powder. And then we're going to mix in a bowl. We're going to mix up the powdered cheese. So go get a cup of coffee and I'll be right back with you. All right. I'm going to stir all these up so I get the little packet of cheese out of it. Be right back. Okay, I've got my 2 cups of potato chips in here. We're going to go with 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, and we're going to go blitz that over there with the Vitamix. I've separated out the macaroni from the cheese packets. I've got 1 cup of cornstarch is going to go into with the cheese packets, and 1 container of the white cheddar popcorn seasoning. It's going to go in here, and I'm going to mix that up. I go get a spoon, and I'll meet you over there, or I'll go blitz it and then come back. All right, my potato chips have been blitzed. The mixtures are going here. I'm going to add in a 1/4 teaspoon of all of my spices except the chili powder because I'm holding that back to go into the, when I'm going to divide this out, I'm going to add more of the spices to the Red Hot Cheetos and chili powder out as well. So, be right back. All right, all my seasoning is in my cheddar coating for the regular Cheetos. So what I have to do at this point is I have to reserve me 1 cup of this because it's going to actually go in with the flours and the cornmeal into the dough. The other here, we're going to have to split this in half between the bowls. What we want to do is for the cheddar one, we're just going to add a little bit of food color to that. And in this one, we're going to have to double up on our spices that we already had in it. So we're going to add more, not more salt though. Salt's going to go in the dough. So we're going to go back and we're going to add another teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, Hungarian Red Hot Paprika, cayenne red pepper, and red pepper. Mix that all together. You can already see the difference between the two cheeses. Coatings, this is the powder, and my spices stay out because that also goes in the dough. In the Red Hot, we're going to add a half teaspoon of, chili powder. That's the only place that goes in, so I can put the top back on that one. All this will be mixed up well. Yellow food coloring. 2 squirts, 1, 2, into the cheddar, 1, 2, into the red hot, red food coloring, 1, 2, into the cheddar, 1, 2, 3, 4, into the red hot. Now this is going to kind of just mix and play it by ear. You might want to put a little bit more food coloring in it. We'll pick back up after I mix this all together. Okay, so I've got my coatings for my cheddar and for my red hot. And as you can tell, you had to get down there with your fingers to mix it, and you can't really get the dry powder with the food coloring. So let me go wash my hands better. Okay. I've got, I could tell if I was recording or not. It's one of those kind of days. All right, I've got my cheese, my dip, my margarine, and my buttermilk. We're going to cream that over there with the paddle attachment on the mixer. Okay, over here, we'll go ahead and get this ready so we can add this to the mixer over there. We've got our flour, our corn flour, our cornmeal, our reserve powdered cheese that we made earlier, and our spices. So this all be mixed together, and gonna have to get this month. We're gonna have to get food color on our hands again. I'm gonna have to add a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow food color into this. And then my dry mixture will be ready to go into the cream mixture, and then we'll come back over here and we'll discuss the 2 methods of how to make the cheese curls at that point. Okay, my baking sheets are lined with parchment paper. I've got my pastry board ready here with a little bit of flour, a rolling pin, and a pizza cutter. Because ordinarily, sometimes, well, I've done it both different ways. This is the easier way. When you've finished, I've got to incorporate the flour mixture into the cheese mixture. We're going to move the camera over there for that. But once you have it as a dough, you can either wrap it in Reynolds wrap, and you can put it in the refrigerator, let it chill for an hour, then you can bring it out. And you know how you have the little slice and bake sugar cookies or chocolate chip cookies from Pillsbury? You cut off about a pinky size width of a cookie, then you cut it into 4, and then you roll it into a little snake, and you curve them just a little bit, and you put that down your parchment paper. They're not going to spread out much because they're not going to rise much because there's no baking powder and there's no baking soda in them. So you can put them pretty close together. Get right many of them on your, depends how large your baking sheet is. That's a lot of rolling. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to roll it out like I'm making a pizza crust, and I'm going to roll it about the thickness of my pinky, or a 1/2 inch thick. And I'm going to take the pizza cutter and I'm going to vroom, 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 and I'm going to do me also pinky size, or 1/2 inch slices down this way. And then I'm going to take a little knife and I'm going to cut me off little 2-inch pieces of it. I'm going to take each one up, roll them just a titch, curl them, put them down, roll them, curl them, put them down, roll them, curl them, put them down. I have done before when I sit there and try to roll them and make them look like a Fred Flintstone, club from the dinosaur age, because that's what Cheetos kind of look like. They're kind of thinner at one end, larger at the other end. They got, and take my little spoon, make a little, you know, you be real fancy like that if you want to. But at this point of time in my life, with my arthritis in my thumbs, they're lucky I'm baking for them at all. I don't have to make. If they want them looking fancy like that, they can come in here and get off the Xbox and they can help roll them. Well, you know, he's there at work right now, so that's unfair to say that to him. So we're going to move over there and we're going to incorporate, make our dough, and then we'll come back over here and we're going to roll them out and get rock and rolling in. My oven is preheating at 350 degrees. I have the rack to second from the highest, because if you have it down lower, they're going to burn on the bottom. So move your rack up in the oven and let's go mix the dough. All of our flour and spices are in here. All of our wet ingredients are over here. We're just going to incorporate them together like any kind of cookie dough, cake, whatever that you're doing. You get the point. I'll meet you back over there at the pastry board. I think this is going to be the easiest way. Roll them out with a rolling pin and roll down with the pizza cutter. Then I'll go back. That's my little knife at. Cut me off some little 2-inch pieces. Those up. Instead of just being flat like a little cracker, we do want them to look a little bit like a Cheetos. This is just to help me portion it out. I'm going to roll them back out. Whoops. It's like a little snake between the palm of your hands. And give them just a little bit of a little curl, crescent. And down there on the baking sheet. All right. We'll pick back up. Oh yeah, this works just fine. You don't even have to pick them up and roll them. You just smush them a little bit. Turn them into a crescent. Smush them a little bit into a crescent at the corners. It's always nice when you got a little assembly line rocking and rolling there. That's why I like cooking with y'all, because I used to be part of the assembly line with my mother when I was little. I always had a little, some kind of little task within the baking and the cooking, and that instilled my love of being in the kitchen, spending time with my mom. I love being outdoors because I was spending time with my dad in the garden or fishing. Spend time with your children. They remember it as they get older. Even when they're teenagers and you think they're balking at you and don't want to be around you, yes, they do. They want you to be involved. Okay, I'll keep rocking and rolling and get these baking in the oven. I turned my oven down to 340 instead of 350 degrees because it's been preheating for an hour here while I've been getting all this assembled and talking to you and whatnot. I don't want them to burn on the bottom. So we're going to finish filling this baking sheet full, get them in the oven. I've decided when I come out, I've already tasted the dough because there's no raw eggs in it or whatever. It's cheesy enough, so I don't need to be coating them forever. I'm going to have to make 4 more batches of the powder if I'm going to try to make them so covered in the. I'm just going to take them when they come out, and I'm going to sprinkle a little on top with regular cheddar, and a little on top of the Red Hot. So I'll pick back up with you. Okay, got my first tray. Got 9 dozen on it. They're going in to bake. I've used about 1/3 of the dough here. In between, when I get me a little section rolled up, I keep putting my dough back in the refrigerator because, you know, it's the winter months, so your heat's running in your house. You don't want to be hot. You want to keep the dough chilled so it will hold its shape better, won't run all out. So put these in to bake 10 minutes at 335, 340, depends upon how hot my oven's running. All right, first batch is out of the oven. I don't quite have the next tray ready to go in, but I had to take the parchment paper off of the baking sheet so they won't continue to brown on the bottom. And I'm going to dust some of them with the regular cheddar powder and some of them with the Red Hot powder while they're cooling there. Then I'll finish this tray, get this tray in to bake. Well, I got a lot more rolling to do over here, but here's the cheddar one, here's the Red Hot one. Homemade cheese curls. Baked all the way through. Delicious. Do the Red Hot one. Eat a little bit spicier. harder, I should say. Oh, got a little kick to it. Well, I'm going to be at this for another, let's see, this got to bake 15 minutes. I've still got a third of the dough left to be another tray. So I'll have 9 dozen, 9 dozen, 9 dozen. You do your math. That's quite a lot of Cheetos to share. You can cut the recipe in half if that's too many for you to make. It's perfect for a party. Super Bowl's coming up. It'd be great for that. You can make a little hummus dip on the side. Serve them with that. All right, I'll go ahead and stop the video here though, and I'll take the thumbnail will be the complete glory of my baking today, so my videos won't run so long. But thank you for watching. I hope you'll like and subscribe to Miss Martha Loves to Cook, because I sure do love to cook, and I enjoy cooking with you. Thank you for watching again. God bless.